Good afternoon. My name is Jim, and today we are going to talk about who's in your house besides the humans. And there's some ways to figure it out. Uh, for instance, back in Forgedale, that house will soon be 300 years old. How many generations through 300 years? How many different owners? Uh, it Colleen and I were one time standing in the living room looking past the door for the basement. There's yet another door that goes into a following room, and it was, quite frankly, I'm an old contractor kind of guy. A really nice door, a nice two panel door, excuse me. Uh, while we were remarking on the door, we record a man saying, "I built that." Door was built a long time ago. That man was in that house for many generations and families. Uh, in Hilbert, we also came up with the same thing in Hilbert House, the second long-term place that Colleen and I studied. From the second floor window, you can look down to the back of the house. There used to be a summer kitchen. If you're not from those mid-Atlantic states with summer kitchens, most houses had the old houses, old farmhouses, had two kitchens, one inside the house and one outside that they would use in the summer so the heat from the fires didn't warm up the main house, making sleep uncomfortable. And the summer kitchen in this particular house must have been the only kitchen because there is none in the main house. And that poor little building, the roof is gone, exposing the small interior of it. And the first time we noticed looking at that window, a woman saddled up to us and said, "Adam built that," meaning the summer kitchen. Cool, good for Adam. A lot of talent. Some months later, again, looking out that same window, was right at the top of the steps. I remarked to Colleen that now I noticed that the wooden cabinet had fallen away from the wall that it was attached to, the interior of the wall. And that same woman, we record right there saying, "Adam, come back." I guess I'd be disappointed too if I put some hard work into a building and the people would just let it go. But again, I'm assuming that building was built around the Civil War. So Adam, that's like 170 years ago. So Adam and that woman, they've been in that house through many owners, many generations. Again, in Hilbert, in the basement, we recorded two men. And this is a whole different breed of ghosts. I don't like that word, but this is a different type. We record one man asking his buddy, "Is it safe to stay here?" And his buddy replies, "Temporary." So these two fellows, they're not residents of this house. They're just using the basement as a place to get through the night, which is curious because Colleen and I have found over all these years, at night, they want to be inside somewhere. Anything that we would call a shelter, they want to be inside of. Whether it's an old root cellar, a cave, a falling down barn with just a little bit of roof left is going to have somebody in it in the evening. They're just like us. They're just people, but they're invisible. And they want to be inside at night. So those two fellas in the basement, they were travelers. but at night they got to be inside somewhere. In this house in particular, there's very, very few of that kind of stuff happening. This house is only about 15 years old. Everybody that I record in this house speaks English in a Spanish-speaking country. I'm in Panama. But a few years ago, I did record a Spanish couple speaking with each other. And they were around every week. And eventually I asked them in Spanish why they were in the house. And the gentleman responds, bonito. So here we have people who are moving around in the world invisible. And they decided to stay here because it's a pretty house. And then there's people that belong in buildings. When Colleen and I were young, our parents owned the Bally Hotel. It's a little country inn in a little town of Bally in Berks County, Pennsylvania. And it was just chock full of people. It was a crazy building to live in. And I used to see full-blown people. I was the closing bartender for a lot of years. So 2 o'clock in the morning, very quiet time. I would hear things and see things, and that's a different story for you. I'll get into that later. But we took recorders in there one time. The current owners, great people, let us in there one time, and we were just starting. Honestly, we weren't very good at recording voices from invisible people. But we did establish that Horace Quigley was still in the building. Horace owned that place for 50 some years. So it's not surprising that he's there. The same thing we did in an abandoned church near Kutztown, Pennsylvania. And I was being a fool at the altar down on the lower level altar. And we recorded a guy, and he must have been the pastor. You must leave. You must leave now. Please leave now. And all the time I could feel his hand on the small of my back as he's trying to walk me out of the irrelevant self I am. But there's people in every structure, every house. The older the house, the more layers of people, and that's going to be another subject too. Layers of people. They don't even know about each other. There's layers from different generations, different families that spend time in a building, seemingly all together, without hearing each other. Often, the only thing these groups have in common in the same house is us, the living people. They can all see us and hear us, but they can't see and hear each other. That's what I got for you today. Thanks very much. Please subscribe. It helps. And if you want to read about this in detail, I got a blog, the same name as this channel. Just put a dash in between the words. Thanks. I'll see you soon.